Hello. I am here now. I have no idea if you can hear me. I'm in a little bit of a different setup today, so I was running a little bit late. I know that things are not going to look the most impressive ever. Also, doing stream just a little bit earlier than usual today. I know that that might be a little bit of a throw off, but it was the most convenient for me to do it a little bit earlier. That way I could get some other stuff out of the way today as well, because I'm in the midst of some busy stuff right now, so my schedule is kind of a little bit all over the place. And so that's why, like, I've mentioned it before, today will be I need to stop looking at what's going on my main monitor. I had it up because I don't have a game up today, which means that the setup is like actually very different than usual, which means that my eyes are not going to the same locations that they usually do, and especially since like chat is still broken, I can't just look at chat on the actual screen itself. I kind of have to just kind of wing things. But today, as of right now, I might shift later depending on how I feel, although I'm like incredibly exhausted today. I had a whole lot going on. I might shift it to... Sorry, excuse me? Oh, welcome, Holland. Sorry for my yawn. It's incredibly unprofessional, I know. But depending on how I'm feeling a little bit later, I might shift into a game. But I might also not. I kind of want to, because I kind of want to stream 2xKO, because I was provided a code for that. So I think that would be at least a little bit fun to do before I take my next week off of streaming. Sorry for how like sporadic streams have been lately. My own like personal life is probably like the busiest that it has been in a very long time as of right now. Hold on, let me unpin this message. It's kind of difficult because like whenever you're thinking about unpinning or pinning a message, you have to make sure that you click unpin instead of remove, because for whatever reason, if you click remove, it doesn't unpin the message. It just says, oh, message deleted, and it leaves. Oh, excuse me. Sorry. This is going to be a consistent feature of this stream, I think, is me yawning. Usually, I think I do pretty well of containing the yawning. There's something horrible about yawning whenever you're trying to keep things together, right? I feel like yawning comes with a specific connotation, and it's not even that I just feel that way. It's literally just how it is. You're listening to me yawn, and it's like, oh, he doesn't even want to be here. He just wants to like go to bed. Oh, I bet this guy wants to sleep like really bad. And it's like, yeah, I kind of do want to sleep really bad, but I also want to be here. You have to understand me. It's just a little unlucky because Yawn Master 3000, it's kind of true right now. It's kind of true. Pretty soon, like, I'm trying to flip my schedule because I have to become a 6 a.m. kind of guy. And for me personally, that's kind of like a huge ask. I'm normally like a night person, as in like whenever I'm at my worst, I will frequently rotate into the waking up at like the 3 p.m. kind of range. But then whenever I'm literally at my worst, which yes, it can get worse than that, is my sleep schedule will start rotating like a car that has been put in neutral going downhill. And just like a car that is put in neutral going downhill, it will inevitably be stopped at some point, but it's never the point that you would want it to be, which is probably like a 6 to 7 a.m. wake up time. Ideally, honestly, I think the ideal like wake up time is you go to sleep at 12 a.m., wake up 8 a.m. There's something about waking up at 8 a.m. where it's like, okay, you can wake up and have a light breakfast, and then a few hours, get yourself a good lunch, and then you're ready for like the whole entire day ahead of you. But unfortunately, like, I have to go the specific, like, early bird gets the worm kind of route, because I have to wake up at like 6 a.m. so then I can, like, if I want to have lunch, because I'm about to be like a have lunch later in the day kind of person, so I have to have a good enough breakfast to carry me through that, and then probably a little bit of a coffee. I'm not like a full-on, like, don't speak to me until I've had my coffee kind of person, but it does feel like that it might go that direction, because as I'm making the switch and having to make that, like, early wake-up time, I'm gonna be reliant on the coffee. And, like, it's weird because, like, I've drank so much coffee throughout my entire life, and I don't think that it's necessarily a bad thing, but I've drank so much coffee that it's become like a key point of my life that I wake up at like 10 a.m., 2 p.m., 5 p.m. Who's counting? It just varies depending on the time of year it is, and like whether I have to go to work or do this or that. It kind of would like rotate, but now I'm settled in. But even then, whenever I was waking up at like 5 p.m., I'm usually still getting like a coffee in me, just because I enjoy the flavor of coffee. But now you're taking something that I love and you're making it a necessity. So I'm kind of worried about how it's like, people tell you, make sure that you don't meet your heroes, and then also like, maybe don't make a job out of doing what you love, which I've always found to be foolish advice, to be honest, because I think that if you get a job out of doing what you love, there is room for it to still be like a highly lucrative endeavor for you, not only money wise but also in the personal entertainment kind of way. But I think with coffee it might end up just moving from like, oh, I love the flavor of coffee, to me becoming the pained sculptor that just really wanted to make busts out of people. But then I figure out that as soon as I try to turn it into a career, my mental state also goes bust. It doesn't hold together. I'm going to be going to the coffee immediately and then frowning at the flavor as I try to maybe find another way to get a little bit more caffeine in me just to feel something. I'm going to be rushing straight to the 5-hour energy. It's not going to work out for me. It's going to be a horribly difficult thing for me. But I've always respected and I've enjoyed the idea of becoming a morning person. I think that there's something, what's the word? I think that there's something almost honorable about being a morning person, where I think that you take them a little bit more seriously. Because, like, whenever you hear that somebody is, like, consistently working and like they got things to do, so they wake up at like 6 in the morning. I wake up at 6 a.m, step outside, shower, step outside, walk the dog, eat some breakfast, go to work, and then I'm in bed by like 10 p.m. There's just something more respectable about that than like, well, I wake up at 3 p.m, give or take. I'm a night showerer, so I don't shower in the morning. I do have things to do at 3:20, so I'm desperately running to grab something to put something in me before I have to rush out to whatever appointment that I have. And then I come back and, well, nothing's open at 2 a.m. So I log on to the video games, or I doom scroll Twitter until my eyes glaze over and I find myself comfortable enough to go to sleep. And maybe I'm just highly misrepresenting the going to sleep at 6 a.m. crowd. Happy birthday. Thank you, Noir. Thank you, Noir. I had a very like uneventful birthday this time. Happy birthday. Thank you, Jury. Welcome, Jury and Noir. The birthday this year, I kept it kind of just like down low this time. Previous years, I've always been a fan of celebrating it pretty heavily, especially last year. But this year, it was just like, okay, I'll go out with the people around me on. I went out Saturday, grabbed some food. Damn, we had Chuck E. Cheese or something. Yeah, actually, I wanted to have the whole setup where I would have like the outside and have it like ease in, but I couldn't get like the other pictures to show up in the shoots, and time was like running in. I should have set it all up yesterday, but yesterday was my birthday and I didn't feel like doing anything. So I gave myself a little bit of leeway and just said I'm not gonna work at all. So instead we have the nice back room Chuck E. Cheese setup. I hope you really like fluorescent lights, because that's about all you're going to be seeing for the next 2 hours, and also you're gonna have the worst cake that you've ever had in your entire life. It's kind of insane that there was an era, at least I can't remember what kind of kid I was, but you know, there was for the most part, I feel like there's two types of kids whenever you're like growing up, and it's either the kid that, well, both kids are scraping the icing off of the cake, and it is like the worst icing that you've ever tasted, but one of those kids eats the cake and one of those kids eats the icing. I can't remember if I was an icing or a cake kid. I think I was probably a cake kid, because the icing would always be too rich and make me want to like throw up after 2 bites. So I would eat like a couple of bites with the icing and with the cake, and then you scrape the icing off. That way you can get to the Saharan cake under it. That would maybe ease you off of the icing. You adore the Chuck E. Cheese background. I'm glad. I can make it a little bit more festive in here. Now that we've gone the full happy birthday route, I'm not going to sing happy birthday to myself, because there's something like uniquely upsetting to that. But what I can do is we can get a little bit of the confetti going. I mean, it's not really a little bit, and now there's like a whole lot on screen. So honestly, I might just be like actively destroying the bitrate of the entire stream, and you can no longer see the detail on my wonderful and beautiful face. I thought about going all in on the cheesy like home video aesthetic for like, oh look, it's my birthday and we're gonna have so much fun. We're at the Chuck E. Cheese. VHS tape. It's the VHS tape. Yippee! True. It's the VHS tape, and then you find it in like the back of the closet, and then I come crawling out of the screen and literally kill you. Except I would never do that. But even I thought that maybe it was going a little bit too far. But like I think the VHS might be a little too much to look at, so I didn't want to go all the way in on that. But it was certainly a possibility. But the birthday this year, Saturday, went out, got some Mexican food, and it was really good. It was Tex-Mex. It's kind of weird to me. And Noir, you might have a little bit of a preference here. I feel like out of the two like states, at least the two states that I've seen argue the most vehemently, I've been a part of the arguments myself, is who has like the better Mexican food between Texas and California. And like for me, I'm just going to say Texas, because I think Tex-Mex is an incredible thing. I have a lot of friends that would agree with me, and I think it is just like the greatest thing of all time. Now, to be fair, I've never been to California, so I don't know what the difference is between like the Mexican food that you can get in California versus like the Tex-Mex that you can get in Texas. I don't know what completely separates them. I've always imagined that maybe Tex-Mex is more on the spices and like that kind of thing, because I just feel like that makes more sense for Texas. But I don't know what California is doing to theirs to make it like separately. This is like the Californian flavor of Mexican food. But Tex-Mex is very good, and this place had like the best Mexican food that I think that I had ever had, which is surprising because it's literally like a 4-minute drive away from me. I had just literally never been to this spot. I had never been to a place. You kind of feel like royalty in some of the more modernish spots and stuff, because you walk in and it's like, okay, we'll get you seated along the back wall, and you know, they get you your chips and salsa and stuff. And then one of my grandparents ordered guacamole. Mexican food in California is more authentic, in your opinion, mostly because there's a lot of Mexican immigrants here. Texas has good food though, from what you know, you've never been. There's a lot of Mexican immigrants here as well, which is what makes the argument like kind of interesting, right? Because like, you know, we're both like both states have like a lot of Mexican food. Welcome, Locke. Happy birthday. Thank you. I'm taking all the well birthday wishes, because you know, that's kind of where the stream is. Today's stream, by the way, I haven't gone over the plan for today yet, but the plan for today is pretty chill. So, like, I was planning on talking about, 1, birthday stuff. I'm now a year older. 2, plans for the channel, and then maybe a little bit of reminiscing at the end. Because the channel is in an interesting spot timing wise right now, where I'm trying to find the balance, and hopefully I will be able to find that balance. But I'm trying to find the best balance for how I want to stream for like probably like the remainder of the streaming career, basically, because I still do want to stream, but I am getting like way busier here soon for like the same. I'm starting my career, which is why I'm having to become a 6 a.m. kind of person. But also the good news is that from what I have seen, I have learned that the timing, at least for the next like 6 months, will probably be less intensive than I had expected. And so what that means for the channel is that most likely I will still be streaming week to week, at least for now. There might be like weeks here and there where I decide against going for it and then maybe just focusing on something else. But the week to week will probably be similar to the week to week that I'm going for now. As in like a Monday, Wednesday, Friday kind of streaming schedule. I might cut it down to like 2 streams a week. I'm undecided on that, but this stream that I'm doing right now will be the only stream that I do this week, as I figure out like the schedule that I will be on from like starting in a couple of days. As I figure out that schedule and what that looks like as I settle into that, because then that'll kind of determine like the times that I start streams, the times that I need to end streams and like get off of them and that kind of thing, and whether I even have like the social and or like mental energy to do the streams, because I might just end up becoming more of like a hangout kind of person instead of throwing myself directly into the forefront doing my usual thing. It all kind of depends, and this is going to be like probably the most real that I'll ever speak on stream, which I know is not like the most real in the world. I tend to keep that stuff kind of close to myself, so I'm kind of deciding as I go what I actually want to give up. But basically I'll be busy. Stream schedule will likely change because of that busyness, but it will still exist is where I'm at right now. So what's going to happen is I'm going to take the week off. I'll probably come back next Wednesday, and then stream that Wednesday, Friday, and then decide if it's something that I want to continue to do long term. Because that Wednesday and Friday, it'll be mixed in with like my new schedule after I've kind of figured out the placement of all of that, and then I'll be able to kind of actually decide what things are going to be long term. But thankfully, like, I was afraid that I would be like a busy literally all day kind of person. I've gotten very lucky with like where I'm at, that is not going to be the case, thankfully. So I still should have time to come back at a normal time. I might try to start streams at like 5:30 or 6 Central Standard Time instead of like the 6:30 to 7 Central Standard Time that I had been going for a little while up until this point, because I think that starting those streams a little earlier will be a much stronger schedule for me as things continue on. But that's kind of where I'm at. Coming into the stream, like, and literally like a lot of this information is coming in today, where before the stream, like this past week, I was like, oh, this is gonna be like my last stream ever kind of mindset. I had it in my mind that this was mostly, it was not going to be like the last one, but it would be the last one before I go and learn more information about like my situation upcoming, and then inevitably deciding that I would do one more farewell stream. But if I decide that I will be quitting, I will do another stream just like as a kind of send off and wrap up kind of stream. So it will not just be a complete vanish for me, because I think that I've liked this a little too much for it to be a complete I'm going to dip and then never come back, and also I hate all of you kind of setup. I don't think that I would have that in me. I've had a lot of people support over the past like 8 months. I've been streaming for as of, okay, so today is Monday, August 12th. I started streaming January 14th. So on Wednesday, I will have been streaming for 8 months total. And I believe that I've only missed the 1 week. Now, I've missed like some streams here and there, obviously, but a total, like, I believe that I've only missed total like back-to-back streams of like of the 1 week that I took off to go visit in Pennsylvania. Now, it will be a 2 weeks kind of thing, because you know, I will be taking this next week off as I figure that stuff out. But you know, that's kind of the state of the channel. There is like a few series that I would like to continue. So like Hades and is one that I would really like to play more of. I really want to do like Jet Set Radio before I quit. And then Outer Wilds has been one in the list literally since I started streaming. There's actually kind of a funny story to Outer Wilds for me. Because I remember before I started streaming it, and there was like the attempt in October of 2023 where I did one part of Signalis and then never came back because I was more embarrassed than I had ever been in my entire life. Whenever I decided to start streaming, a big part of that for me was that I had started playing Outer Wilds. I had bought Outer Wilds and I had bought Dredge kind of together, because I've always kind of paired them together in my mind. I can't really explain why, but in my mind they both have like the chill indie vibe, and whenever you're playing Dredge, you're like, sure, I'm highly uncomfortable from point to point sometimes, but a lot of the time I'm just kind of on the water, and then it starts playing the piano. It's going like do 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 do. and you're feeling good about it. And also, whenever I bought Dredge, honestly, I didn't know about the Eldritch horror kind of vibe that it had. So whenever I was going in, I was expecting like a Bass Pro Fishing, and instead I got, well, you're going to be Bass Pro Fishing, but also sometimes a ungodly fish will just... I'm wearing my headphones and I don't know why. I literally have no sound coming through me, and instead of helping me out with the headphones, all the headphones are doing is tunneling my voice back into my ears and kind of hurting my ears. Although I think what I am going to do, actually, just for my own ear safety, is I think I'm going to put some earbuds in, because sometimes I have to be a little careful, because, and this is going to sound horrible for me, I can project... Sorry, that's my Whataburger bag that you just heard. I can project my voice kind of like very well, and I'm sitting in the corner of my room, and so my voice leaves my mouth, expertly being pushed through my chest and vocal cords. It bounces off of the wall and it ricochets directly back into my ears, and then my ears start bleeding horrifically as they try to process the abuse that's happening to them. So I've thought about it before, but I might, like, whenever I'm streaming, I might start streaming with like earplugs or something, because like legitimately my own voice kind of just like hurts my ears. And it's been a problem that I've been dealing it, and like I've brought it up before, mainly like whenever I was streaming Resident Evil 4. This has been a problem for me probably since like high school or something. So multiple years now, I've just had this problem with my ears where like it's not like a direct pain, but you get like this fluttering discomfort. I almost don't know how to describe it, but it mainly happens in my left ear, where it kind of sounds like your ear starts like swimming a little bit. And I know that sounds gross, but I don't mean it in like a covered in earwax kind of way. I mean it in like a it feels like it kind of starts bubbling with the sound kind of way. And it's like a horrible thing, and I really do need to probably get it looked at. All I know is that whenever I'm like 65, I might be getting hearing aids. I might be getting hearing aids at 65. I'm not looking forward to it, but I think that will be like a key part of my character. And I did go ahead and put the earbuds in, by the way. So I have no idea if I started speaking louder, but if I started yelling at you whenever I put the earbuds in, I apologize. Because, you know, now I'm trying to like fit my own voice back into the same volume bubble that it was in just before, but with like things blocking my ears. Give me a second, I need to take a drink. Actually, biggest mistake of my life, I didn't have water in here ready. I had do your best to not yell when you get your hearing aids. It's a difficult thing, and you know, things are kind of okay. I don't have like the worst genes in the world, but there's some key things that are kind of set against me. One, a whole bunch of people in my family really needed glasses. Now, I've already been hit by that one. I've really needed glasses since like 5th grade. So I've been wearing glasses for a majority of my life. 2, my grandpa has hearing aids. And it sounds, and my dad, whenever I talk to him, you kind of have to yell at him a little bit louder than you used to. And he's in his 50s. So it's probably going to happen for me, probably sometime in my 50s. People are going to have to start going like, from Joe Bob, Joe Bob, Joe Bob, Joe Bob, Joe Bob, until you have to kind of start yelling a little bit to get my attention. And it's already kind of like a negative thing, because I'm very much like in my own head. a majority of the time. I have to apologize, and I've done this to Holland a whole lot. And I've done it to many people in my own life a whole lot. But like whenever I'm having a one-on-one conversation, there are times where I struggle to actually focus on the conversation. So I kind of have to fight with myself to make sure that I'm actually like paying attention. So then I end up like re-asking stuff sometimes. It does not feel bad. So basically, you combine the two together and you have this horrible like soup created in a witch's cauldron of curses. That means like I'm going to be having trouble to hear, but also whenever I'm hearing less stuff, I'm going to be doing really well at creating stuff in my own head to entertain myself. So then whenever you're inevitably like dying and you really need 54-year-old me to give you the Heimlich maneuver, I'm not even gonna notice that you need the Heimlich. So you're gonna be sitting there choking on a macaroni elbow, praying that I'll notice it through like the proverbial trunk of the car because I'm back there and I can't hear you. And then I'll notice and then I'll be quick enough to go through. I wouldn't trust you to do it. Thank you for the warning. Why would you say that? I mean, like, if I heard, I would be able to do it just fine. It's not like there's anything super complex to the Heimlich maneuver. You just go up behind the guy and then you, like, hug him real tight and then you start, like, squeezing, right? And then, like, a coin and a bone and all like this and that, maybe some lint come flying out of their mouth and they like launch across the room, right? That's what they showed in all the cartoons. I don't think that it would be that difficult to pick up on. It's kind of like whenever you're trying to pop somebody's back, specifically through the method of where they cross their arms in front of them, you give them a big hug and then you just like throw them up over your stomach. And as their back makes contact with like your chest and stomach, every single bone in their spine disintegrates into dust. It's one of the best feelings that can be had. And, you know, the other preferred method in my mind is just have the other person lay on the ground. That way you can like walk all over them. I've seen people before just like laying around in the street whenever it's like a big party time. Maybe they're just trying to get their back popped by like a car. It's not that big of a deal. They all separate from each other momentarily. Is that true? Like, I actually don't know how the spine is constructed, but it is like in little segments, right? Like if you were to have, let's say that your spine is like whenever you get a Lunchables with the crackers and like the bologna and the cheese, is like one spine segment like a cracker and then a bologna and then a cracker and then a bologna and then a cracker and then a bologna? Can you take a cracker bologna cracker and then a cracker bologna cracker and then a cracker bologna cracker? Are those like all different things? No, it's like letting air out kinda. Oh, so you're going in and you're eating you have the cracker bologna cracker bologna cracker bologna cracker bologna Lunchable. You're taking the bologna out of the mix and you're eating all the bologna, but now your spine is just cracker, 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 cracker. The popping sound is from the air. That makes sense, but then like, what's wrong with my fingers, man? Because like, I can just like do that. Both fingers. Just happens like that. I just have to like squeeze my hand a little bit and then I guess like I'm shooting out air directly through my fingers. I could billow a flame with my knuckles alone. It doesn't make any sense. I didn't know that it was possible like that, but I mean like I've always held on to this because it always felt like you kind of needed something special with like your hands back in like middle school. Because, you know, you had the people that had, like, the disjointed thumb or whatever, where you could just, like, yank the thing all the way down to, like, the bottom of your wrist. But for me, my claim to fame was that, like, I could pop my knuckles like that. Was the way to be a cool kid? Kind of. it's weird because like the focus, and I think that to an extent some of it remains true, but like the focus is just over this weird like benign stuff. And I mean, it's kind of like what the Olympics is, right? I'm going through like popping my fingers like this. It's probably no different than like, oh, I'm really good at like pole vaulting. It was that and running fast. That's true too. If you could run fast, it was literally over. Because then like whoever could run fast would come up to you and they'd be like, "Hey, we're gonna play tag," and you're like, "Okay." And they sprinted off across the field, and there was literally nothing that you could do about it because you couldn't catch them. It's just an unfair weighted world. But either way, the channel. I wanted to talk a little bit about the channel. Today I'm gonna keep the just chatting segment a little bit shorter, I guess, because it's kind of difficult to keep this up for a while. I've been talking for about 35 minutes now, and it's already getting to the point where it's like, oh, what do you even do? How do you carry on like this? And it's impressive because some people will do like the just chatting stream for like 4 hours. Now, to be fair, like whenever you're in the just chatting kind of environment, usually you're probably pushing for like a more active chat kind of thing, which I've never been good at keeping chat active. I've always respected the streamers, and I think like Jury and Blue do this a whole lot better than I do, but actually being able to make conversation with like the chat in the moment, I'm more like I like to take comments here and there from chat and then kind of just run with them to do my own thing, which works really well for in the moment like gaming stuff. But I think for like just chatting stuff, whenever it's like, oh, well, did you ever go to Chuck E. Cheese as a kid? And I sit here and like I improvise just a little bit while I wait for your response. And you're like, oh yes, I did go to Chuck E. Cheese as a kid. I always really liked Chuck E. Cheese pizza, but the animatronics would really scare me. And I would say, oh, well, the animatronics, they scared me too. I completely understand where you're coming from. There's always the fear that whenever the animatronics are like singing their songs, that it will develop into something more. Welcome, Toto. Happy birth. Thank you. How are you doing, Toto? Now I'm gonna make you my little experiment. I'm gonna make active conversation with you while you're here because that's what just chatting streamers are supposed to be able to do. What's your day looked like, Toto? Do you have any interesting tidbits that you'd be willing to share with the classroom today? I would love to hear more about you personally. Maybe if you have a little bit of a credit card to share with some numbers on the back, you could share that as well. I know that you're not American, so I'm not sure how Social Security would work, so I can't really ask you to offer that. But maybe if you were willing to offer your address, maybe you could offer that as well. We would all love to come visit. Am I right, fellow chatters? That's where the focus would be. But yeah, it's weird because I just feel like that the just chatting you woke up, so that's a good start. As for the credit card, if you pay it off, then yeah, I got you with numbers. Didn't do much today. Got popsicles and edited some videos. Oh, what are you editing, and what kind of popsicles? I would love to hear more about the popsicles. As for the address, I'm literally moving next week, so I'll give you the new address when you're there. Okay, well, I guess the timing is a little bit unfortunate for being for requesting the address. I just really wanted to mail you something. But yeah, as soon as you get the address, go ahead and let me know. I'll be sure to catch a plane ticket directly over as soon as I can. Sorry, I'm lucky that I had a Mountain Dew, a spare Mountain Dew, just sitting on my desk, or else my throat would be completely dry. Now the problem is that Mountain Dew kind of fills the same kind of environment as the icing on the top of the worst cake that you've ever had, where the Mountain Dew will keep me awake and alive, but it's also like incredibly rich in it. It's so sweet. Does Mountain Dew have caffeine in it? I'm almost certain that it does. It has caffeine, and I'm pretty sure like an ungodly amount of sugar. Isn't it like a thing where like a Mountain Dew can't be sold in some countries, like as it is in the US, because of how sugary or whatever, how bad for you Mountain Dew is? I'm pretty sure that that's a thing, and I didn't completely make it up. I'm taking the earbuds out. You don't have it there in Germany. That's what I thought. Because like I know that I've seen like the memes, and for whatever reason, I don't know why, Toto, but German YouTube shorts have kind of entered my YouTube shorts feed. And it's not like German YouTube shorts made for Germans, it's German YouTube shorts made for Americans. So I'm getting like this filtered view of Germany, where they're just like, did you know that that Germany does not have Mountain Dew at all? Food is highly regulated here. Even McDonald's and Domino's and Burger King, it's not even close to the US. For some of those, excuse me, there's a very good chance that they're just like significantly better than what we have. At least for the Burger King, I think American McDonald's gets a little bit like too much flack for not being fancy, but I think like American McDonald's does what McDonald's is supposed to do probably the best, by being like cheap, disgusting slop that you kind of just want to eat sometimes. Whenever I was going through the road trip to Pennsylvania, the McDonald's breakfast has to be like one of the best road trip breakfasts that you can get, because you can get the McGriddle, and the McGriddle is just like pure carbs and sugar, and then the sausage patty, it completely like wakes you up and keeps you there for a long time. Healthier, sure, but the taste, you wouldn't say so. So the tastiness is in the elements that kill you. I guess that's why we go for it, and why, you know, Americans have a specific reputation. That's why I never drink Diet Coke or zero sugar ones. If it doesn't kill me, you don't want it. Oh, I just don't agree with you there. Because the thing is, though, is that Coke Zero, it tastes so good for being like 0 calories. I think that Coke Zero is worth not dying for. Because I moved over completely, and to be fair, like before Coke Zero, but you can tell the difference. You can tell the difference. I completely admit that the flavor between a normal Coke and a Coke Zero is slightly different, but whenever you get into Coke Zero, like dedicated, I'm a Coke Zero drinker, all of a sudden, Coke Zero just becomes the flavor that you prefer over a normal Coca-Cola, which to me does feel like a bit blasphemous, because I've always identified with the Coca-Cola branding, because Coca-Cola always had the Coca-Cola polar bear. You gave Coke as an example, but the point is that you don't drink any zero sugar or diet drinks. That's fair. I think the only one that I drink consistently is Coke Zero, but I still try to get a zero sugar option now whenever I'm at like a restaurant, which is for sure not for the best. Like whenever I go for Taco Bell, obviously like the representative drink of a Taco Bell meal is the Baja Blast. And so like I would always go and get the Baja Blast, but now I get the Baja Blast zero sugar. Does the Baja Blast zero sugar taste good? No. I get it anyways, because it tastes kind of like medicine. Which, this is gonna sound psychotic, but I've always liked the taste of NyQuil. I've loved the taste of NyQuil probably like my whole life. Now thankfully, like if I were to have like a slightly different personality, I would be like horrifically addicted to NyQuil. But I know that NyQuil is a specific treat for me whenever I'm sick. And so NyQuil, it will come with the sickness buff. It'll make me feel better, help me sleep through the illness, and then I also have the flavor of NyQuil to look forward to. So whenever I need a little kick of the NyQuil flavor in my day-to-day life, then I can just go to Zero Sugar Baja Blast, and it kind of tastes basically the same, and I have no idea why. Mostly drink pineapple and mango juice anyway. Your opinion on this matter isn't fully developed. You'll come back after more research. That's fair. I mean, it's very admirable of you to admit that you haven't completely researched the ideas, and that you need to be a little bit more informed to have a fully developed opinion on the matter. Now, like for me, I don't have a fully developed opinion on juices and stuff. I know that like apple juice is one of my favorite drinks probably ever, but then you have like a certain danger that comes along with apple juice, where if you drink like drink after drink after drink of apple juice, you're kind of asking for something horrifically dangerous to happen in the bathroom just a little bit later. But it's usually a risk that I'm that's worth taking for me. It's like taking a high pressure spring, tying it all together with zip ties, and then trying to slowly diffuse it. It's crazy when you talk to your American friends and they tell you that all these names for foods and drinks that you never heard of before, like a chicken croissant sandwich, and it probably tastes good, but like the cuisine mix is crazy. That's what we are. That's what we are. That's what America is. All these cultures tied together. You take the chicken, you take the croissant being French, the chicken being, hey, where's chicken cuisine from? I don't know where chicken is the most powerful. Chicken is just chicken. I don't know who made the chicken. Who made the sandwich? Where does the sandwich come from? All I've got is French now. Do French people not just eat chicken croissant sandwiches? The egg? Or did the egg come from the chicken? Oh no, we've ended up in a philosophical loop, and now I don't even know where to go. Have you heard of Schrodinger's cat? What if we're all in here just to be held in from the rest of the world? The rest of the world is dead, and we're the ones that are alive. Chicken croissant is probably the most offensive thing ever. Offensive? It's bread and chicken. Where does the offense come in? It just sounds like it's a strong sandwich. To French people? I don't know. I mean, like, surely, I don't know much about French cuisine. In fact, I know basically zero. And it's a topic that has continued to be a common point for me over time. Over probably the past, like, 3 months, is that I know zero about French cuisine. And even through asking questions, I couldn't tell you what French people are eating. They made croissants. Apparently, they really like lemons and zest. That's all I've got for you. Like, I can easily define to you, like, what Italian cuisine is. Unfortunately, I know what British people eat. I know a little bit about some German food. I know some Polish food. They're zesty. I know a little bit of some Polish food. I know nothing about what French people are eating. Why is it so, like, untouched, I guess? It feels like they've built a wall. Snails? Escargot. Snails, frogs. Okay, so basically, like, all the things that an American would probably not be thinking about eating ever. We've been influenced by, I don't know, British cuisine so heavily. British and Italian cuisine. They go to a swamp and it's a feast. That's what it sounds like. I wonder if you can make escargot with slugs. I've seen some slugs in my time. How do you tell, like, what kind of because you know, like whenever you're making meat or whatever, you have like a different cut of stuff that will make the food taste a little bit different. And you can get like different types of beef and that kind of thing. Is there different types of snail? Like, how do you tell which snail is good and which is less good? Is a snail ever gamey? I don't even know. I assume snails are just like eating grass, I guess. I was thinking about it and it's like, do snails just eat rocks? What do they do? They wear rocks, I guess. But even then, it's just, you know. And like for a snail, I've had escargot. I think it tasted okay. Like, I didn't dislike escargot. At least the ones that your mom makes are the mountain snails in the autumn, so it's a seasonal thing. What the? Oh, so there are different kinds of snails. Mountain snails versus like a plain snail. Maybe the plain snail tastes worse. Do the mountain snails just come down whenever it's in the autumn? I didn't know that there were different kinds. You have no idea, but that's the only thing that you grew up with? Oh, that's fair. That's fair. I'll have to do more like individual research. So I'm assuming the other stuff is either worse or harder to find. If it's just harder to find, can you imagine what a gourmet snail would taste like? That means that there's probably like better snails that you just haven't had yet. Your snail palate is untouched. In the autumn, the mountain snails come out of their hiding. Probably. I guess it makes sense. Because, like, whenever you think of, like, snails and stuff, if they get caught outside on, like, the cement, they're just kind of, like, frying into a gooey puddle. It's maybe the grossest thing that I've ever thought about. There is potential. I think that there is, too. Because the thing is, whenever I had escargot, I've only had it one time in my life. I was probably like 14. And if 14-year-old me can get over the novelty of eating snails, it's probably like pretty solid to at least being fine. Like mediocre at worst. So maybe the French people are kind of onto something with their snail habit, because like they tasted pretty good, I think. There was probably like some garlic involved or something, and I've always been a fan of garlic. Now I can't remember if it legit was. You say snails is a meme, but French cuisine is pretty much mixed as well at this point, because all European food sucks, so it's all Arab, Indian, and Asian food, the good ones at least. European food does not suck. I actually have to complain about that, because I like sausages, and I like pierogies. I can have a little bit of sauerkraut. I'm not going to complain about sauerkraut. Pierogi are like some of my favorite food like ever. So I can't bear to hear that European food sucks at large, because I think that one is kind of like a strong enough standout that I'm willing to take it. It doesn't suck, but it's bland, like no flavor. So someone like you with a palate that's numb to spices, you need your food to be over seasoned. Oh, that's kind of fair. If you're expecting like the flavor of spices and stuff, then it's totally different. I know that like Indian food, like in particular, is like has a whole ton of spice. I still have not had the chance to try Indian food. Like, I've had the chance, but I just haven't like gone and tried it yet. I've had a whole lot more Asian food recently. Whenever I went to Pennsylvania, I had like and I've had Thai food before, but I've always limited myself to the safe options for like pad Thai. I went and got like a soup that was like full of vegetables and stuff in it, and it was one of my favorite things ever. Our Mensa in university literally has boiled potatoes with just salt and salad, with no dressing, and mac and cheese with no flavor. Like, I'm sorry, that's supposed to be the daily food? Oh, boiled potatoes with salt. Yeah, it kind of does sound horrible. I'm not gonna lie to you. I feel like it's the opposite of America, where like America, we live in excess, right? And I think even flavor is considered with the excess, because then we get at least get an excess of grease to leech onto. When you went to TwitchCon in Netherlands, your friend's mom made some authentic European dish, and it was literally fried potato, boiled broccoli, and schnitzel. No flavor. Oh, and that's the authentic. That's the thing, right? If you go to somebody's house and their mom is like, I'm going to make like the thing, you expect it to be like maybe the happiest that you've ever been eating food. So to hear that like somebody's mom made it and it was like the blandest thing of all time, that's an impressive feat. Like somebody's mom should be putting together like a literal heaven in your mouth. The warmth should be surrounding you. You should feel like that their mom is like hugging you and tucking you in and giving you a kiss on the forehead. Oh, like it's healthy, but dude, I get it. I understand now what you're saying. I love potatoes, but just like a plain potato by itself is not going to do it. When they try your mom's cooking that's been canned like 5 months ago, they literally always cry and always want more. What do you mean canned? What do you mean canned? Oh, like to preserve? Y'all can the cooking? I've seen like what we do here, and this is going to be like maybe a more American version of that. Is like whenever my parents are preserving food that they've made, they vacuum seal it. So they have like the vacuum suck bags, and they throw the like chicken or whatever in there. They vacuum seal that and then throw it into the freezer. I think having them canned sounds a little bit more like aesthetic than the vacuum seal bags. But like, yeah, I guess your mom clearly wins the competition. When you visit your mom, you take back like 20 cans of preserved food. You have to can it because you fly to a different... Oh, that makes sense. I almost was willing to just believe that canning the food was like the cultural norm instead of like vacuum sealing. Canning is worse because there's something that cannot be preserved, so it's not even the best of her cooking that they tried. Oh, okay. Yeah. So like the more fresh stuff would maybe even knock them down even further. Europeans tasting like good food for the first time in their entire life. Just put it in a suitcase, you gotta can it probably. I'm not gonna lie to you, like a whole suitcase of canned like corn or something is very funny to me. You can make a video out of that? You can. It honestly would do well. I mean, think about it. Whenever you think of like the staples of entertainment, it's mostly seasoned meat, to be honest. It's the meat. Oh, so like these Europeans have never had like good meat before in their entire life. That's kind of sad. I wonder how they would like... Oh, actually, this has me thinking. Do Europeans know like what barbecue tastes like? Because like barbecue, at least where I am in Texas, is kind of like the staple, right? Have like brisket and like sausages and like all that. Throw them on like some bread and stuff. Trust me, go to a steakhouse here. If you make it at home, it's better. Oh, barbecue is a cultural thing here. They do it every weekend. Oh, so like I wonder if it's different though. What's a German barbecue? What's the staple to a German barbecue? Like, it doesn't taste good. Okay, well, their barbecue's different than our barbecue. That's for sure. Not to like stroke our own ego, because like America probably doesn't need its ego stroked anymore. But like Texas barbecue is like excellent. Sausages, burgers, and steaks. Sometimes, how do you go wrong? How do you go wrong? It can't taste bad. Maybe it's just like the palate is different. Because you say that, and I'm thinking about no seasoning. Why? Why? I need to sit a German down and ask them why. I swear they don't even use peppers sometimes. So you're going through and you're basically eating like the bare essentials of a burger. It's like the poorest burger of all time. You're eating meat paste. It's like whenever you watch like a dystopic show and it's like, oh, go ahead, have your cockroach protein bar, and they take a giant nasty crunch out of the thing. You can see the legs sticking out of it. That's the kind of flavor that Germans are eating their barbecue at. I expected better. Your average German would probably season it because the culture is very mixed at this point, so most homes will season. But if you go to a restaurant, the restaurants are worse. I expected like the normal people to be maybe the most resistant to it, but the restaurants doing it is horrible. It's funny because like in America, I feel like the respect for European cuisine is so high, but I forget that like a lot of the times like the cuisine has kind of been like Americanized to make it actually taste good, I guess. I was about to say to make it fit our palates more, but the way that you talk, it does just actually sound like to make it flat out taste good. Normal people would be way better. That's why barbecue became cultural in a way, because they legit make it better than restaurants. That means the only reason for the restaurants to exist is just for the pure convenience factor. And I feel like that takes a lot out of it, because whenever you look at like the different kinds of restaurants, it's like, okay, we can go, it's a social gathering. Oh, I see that for like special events and stuff, because whenever you're out doing things and you want to like have a beer and some food or whatever, sometimes it's better to go out and do it that way. But still, like the other like restaurants, you have the different like flavors of restaurant where it's like, okay, I want to eat something incredibly greasy and feel like garbage, and I don't want to be able to move until way later. Then it's just like, okay, go to a disgusting little fast food joint, Whataburger here. Or if you want that, but a little lighter, then you go to In-N-Out. They both serve their purpose. I have talked to more people, and Whataburger is like, it seems to be the preferred over In-N-Out a lot of the time. Thankfully, I'm very proud. It may be late to mention Korean barbecue. Korean barbecue does go hard. I hope that you were talking about Korean barbecue in like in a positive way, Cyan, or else there will be like a legitimate problem between me and you. Because so far, and this is a newer thing for me too, I had not eaten much Korean food before. So for me, like Korean cuisine as another barbecue, so not as like a mention of bad barbecues, but as like a mention of barbecues in general. I can respect that, because like as far as barbecue goes, Korean barbecue probably needs to be like highly considered. Again, you're talking about the German cuisine, right? The fast foods and the Asian, Indian, Arab, Turkish restaurants are all as good as it can get. Oh, so anything local is horrible. They have to be like they have to be from other cultures. So you can't be like a proud German like restaurant goer. You can't go, oh, let me get my pretzel, and how did it became Midwest? You can't go and get like a specific German pretzel and be like, this is the greatest thing that I've ever had. Aren't Germans supposed to at least have like good bread? Isn't German bread supposed to be good? It's just I'm trying to hold on to anything because my world is kind of crumbling around me. The bread is fine. Okay. Bakeries are good. That's good. I was about to lose like a whole lot of hope that I had in German cuisine up until this point, because like I've said, like the American experience is like you go out to like these random German restaurants or whatever, and you go and like the people are wearing the lederhosen and they've got like the flags and stuff on the wall, and they have the music playing, that you're doing the chicken dance and stuff. It goes all the way in, and now obviously it's a highly Americanized version, but it goes pretty hard. They have a lot going for them, don't worry, but you're just pointing out the negative that people think is positive. You've changed my view significantly. I don't know if it's like positive. I could have lived ignorantly, because sometimes ignorance is bliss, and honestly, I'm probably like, I don't know if I'm ever going to just find myself in Germany. Germany's such like a specific country. Like, I'm going the normal American route, where if I'm like visiting a country, it's gonna be like the UK or Ireland, or I'm gonna go somewhere in Asia, maybe Italy. To be honest, you assume German restaurants in America isn't the same as in Germany because food regulations aren't the same. That is probably true. And I think that Americans are pretty blatant with being willing to take a little bit of liberty, as we do. We love liberty in America. I think that American restaurants are going to feel free to take a little bit of extra liberty to actually make it taste good, because American palates need it to be like flavorful, I think. You never know. If you ever go to Europe, it's probably going to be UK, Italy, France, or Germany. Maybe a little Spain. At least that's what you saw when most Americans, that's where you saw most Americans when you visited. Other countries don't have that many American tourists. I guess that makes sense. They're probably the ones that would be the most familiar with English tourists as well. I'm kind of curious if like how much the overlap is between American and British tourists too, because I feel like British tourists are probably going to be just as clueless whenever it comes to language as American tourists. I don't know if that's fair, but I'm almost certain that it is. Because I think like British people like to trash on Americans for a lot of the same stuff that they do. So I'm almost certain that like the British people, they're probably just speaking English and showing up in the middle of France. I'm going to be right back. I'm going to grab a water. I really need it. It'll be just a second. Just a second. I'll be right back. I'm back. Probably like the fastest return that you've ever seen a streamer achieve. I'm basically like an Olympic athlete with how quickly I was able to get the water in return. The British are the second most hated here after the French. Oh, I've heard you talk about the French before. I didn't know that the British were also going to be like that hated, I guess. I don't know what it looks like in Germany though. I assume that most of it's just going to be general mockery. Don't get it twisted. I love both of them. But overall, of course. I didn't mean that you hated French people, but like how you've talked about how Germans react to French people. Maybe the British are a little too pompous. I like French probably the most because they're goofy and funny. I've known like one French person in my entire life. I'm not in the part of America to where like knowing French people is going to be a common thing for me. So like I don't know the general like French vibe. I feel like that they would probably be a more confident kind of vibe though. I think that probably fits them. They don't like Brits and Frenchies because of war. It's like they are taught to not like them. Oh, I guess like the thing between like America and Europe is that America has a little bit less of some of the centuries old bad blood between them, unless like the big one for Britain and Germany is more recent than that. In which case, I feel like I have to be a little bit more on the side of the British. I'm sorry. They don't. But like as far as like food goes, like perception wise, I think Germany holds a stronger image than Britain does over here, which is weird because I feel like you get into the Scottish and like Irish food and like drink kind of range, and then those all of a sudden in America become like a novelty. So like I know for a lot of people, cranberry sauce, is that American? Welcome Deceptions. Fun little fact about all of Europe when it comes to touristic areas, the most people they get annoyed when they show up are no. Okay, well now I'm for sure just like on the British side, because now we're like the most oppressed group, right? We go to the other countries and everybody just hates us for no well, I mean, they probably have a reason, but no discernible reason to me. I didn't do anything. I'm just coming over and like wanting to spend my freedom bucks on a little bit of pretzel. What did I do? I didn't do anything. And maybe, and I know like Americans obviously like carry a little bit of baggage with them, where, you know, we're kind of seen as probably like the loudest of any bunch and maybe the most prideful of any bunch, and maybe we might see ourselves as like the coolest country on the planet for the most part, and I could see how that would get a little grating, but like we're uninvolved. They don't hate you, but it's just that a lot of Americans treat the country and its folk as a zoo rather than a country when they visit. Yeah, that makes sense too, because like, I mean, I see it here sometimes, even at like the smaller scale, where people sometimes Americans get a little enamored is what I'm trying to say. Is like you know, you show up and like you'll see Americans like in a different area, and then all of a sudden it just becomes about like staring and looking and pointing at things that you don't have at Walmart, and it's a little awkward. That is super funny to watch to you as an outsider. I'm glad that you're getting a little bit of enjoyment out of it, because legit part of the American culture, and I don't know why we are the way that we are, but a lot of the times it is just like, oh, look at that, we don't have that at like our grocery store. That kind of restaurant, that wouldn't be back home. You wouldn't have that right around me, 2-minute drive. Couldn't exist. That food, isn't that the weirdest thing that you've ever seen in your life as you try to awkwardly fiddle with whatever it is that has been put in front of you? Like, I know for a fact that if there were a I'm gonna go like American, pluck a dude out of Oklahoma, put him in France, stick him in the middle of a restaurant, and they serve him escargot. He's probably like completely befuddled with what is in front of him, kind of awkwardly poking at it, and then looking at the people around and kind of laughing at it a little bit. Because that's kind of the vibe that we have. So I get it. We're kind of like the babies of the bunch. I love everybody, honestly. When one of your American friends was in TwitchCon, he was legit the most fun to hang around because of the reactions people give him whenever he does anything. I think there's something charming about the fish like out of water. And I don't know, okay, so like this is gonna be scaled way down, but recently I visited like Pennsylvania. I'm from Texas. Texas is very different from Pennsylvania. I'm looking to maybe move to Pennsylvania in the next like year or two. But whenever I went to Pennsylvania, people would like love just like kind of talking to me about stuff. So like their cultural homeland kind of is like the Wawas. It's a gas station specific to Pennsylvania. Whenever I was there, there was a guy that was ready to spread the culture of Wawas in Amish country to me, and he was like, you really need to go to Pennsylvania. And I was like, okay, I'll go to Pennsylvania. And then we kind of had a cultural exchange, and then I was able to spread my gas station as well, where I have the Buc-ee's, and you know, we kind of have like a beaver statue of the mascot and everything, and it's kind of like its own little idol. But I imagine, like, if you were to pluck me and throw me into TwitchCon, which is in like the Netherlands, I don't know if the reactions would be the same, because I almost feel like if it's that extreme of a change, I think that I would be a little too aware. Like, oh, this is so different, and I don't want to be like completely like disrespectful, right? So I'd be trying to fit in with the crowd. That's the thing, is whenever I go to a new place, I try my best to assimilate. Maybe I'm a sheeple, I'm not sure, but I do try my best to assimilate, other than like sometimes whenever you're told, oh, you can't talk on the train. And it's like, I want to talk just like a little bit. I'll keep the voice down, but I've only got a limited amount of time to talk. So I think that I would like to talk a little bit. So I'll talk just a little bit. It won't be like overwhelming though. But otherwise, I'm trying to go to like the Wawas. They ask me where I want to go on the train. I'm using the proper terminology, and I'm not interrupting the people that don't want to be interrupted, is the way that I'll put it. To be honest, that's the fun of it in a way. I think that you're right, definitely. Because whenever I think of like travel shows too, and it's like part of the fun of travel shows is seeing somebody that doesn't know like what they're doing in a country that they've never been to before. That's kind of like where for me, like watching Conan O'Brien travel segments, where he's kind of just awkwardly doing whatever he needs to do to get his segment done. I think that those reactions are probably some of the funniest, where it's just like, okay, just go ahead and plop yourself down in the middle of like a gamer internet cafe and make things happen. The whole point is discovering stuff and learning about new cultures, right? So it's okay to mess around as long as you don't straight up be rude or commit a crime. That's true. A lot of the travel stuff becomes way less fun to me as soon as it's clear that they're trying to like provoke something. Because it's just like, let these people do their thing. They aren't there to be just like screwed with consistently. People will also understand, right? I think so. I think they really will. They'll see that you're a tourist, and then they'll give you like a weird look, and then kind of just accept that that's how you're going to be. Because you don't know what the natural standard is. You'll come in and say, I've been on the road for 25 hours, and like try to make small talk with them. The weather sure is crazy, isn't it? I'm really tired. And they'll give you a little bit of a strange look with an AirPod in their ear because they don't even want to talk to you a little bit. I mean, the way Japan's police treat tourists is the best example. I'm not familiar with that. You'll have to expand upon that for me. But I definitely agree with the discovering stuff. I feel like as an outsider, you kind of have the best opportunity to discover things. Whether it be just like these tiny restaurants or these random parks and stuff that you would have no reason to check out if you weren't visiting. So then you end up like learning more than some of the people that live there. Yeah, I think that you can encourage that learning. But like whenever you just live at a place, and part of you is just like, oh, this is my day to day. I went to work. I got things to do whenever I get home. I got a little bit of work that I need to touch on. So I'll just rush home, and I'm not going to do anything. So then you end up like not actually finding anything new around you. And you're like, oh, it turns out one of my favorite Tex-Mex spots is literally like 3 minutes away. Pretty much some people do break the law when they're tourists in Japan by mistake, and they don't get fined or anything. You just tell them to not do it again with a smile and send you away. That's good. That's good. I would be so stressed out if I were to be stopped by like a an officer in a different country, even a different state. I know like one of my biggest fears, because this was my first time kind of going for a long road trip whenever I went to Pennsylvania. One of my biggest fears was like the getting pulled over and having to explain the whole process. Give Japan as an example because they are very different. They're very different when it comes to laws there. That makes sense too. I know that things are like culturally going to be super different, and like some of the laws are a lot stricter in Japan than they are in America, I'm pretty sure. At least I always hear about the strictness of them compared to America. I feel like America is so lax with its laws that maybe that's why we always end up being so rowdy in comparison to like other people whenever we just show up in different countries whenever we appear. So it ends up being like a bigger deal for us to figure out what the standards even are. It's like, oh, I can do this while at home, but I can't do it here. Sorry, I needed a drink. It was a lot. Sometimes whenever I'm talking like this, and I was kind of hoping, I've been streaming for basically 8 months now. I think that my speaking endurance has gotten significantly better from whenever I did start, but it is not flawless by any means. And I found that whenever I go for like a just chatting leaning kind of stream like this, that I end up struggling to actually keep the throat dry. And I don't know if this is just like a disgusting gamer thing, but I feel like whenever I have the mix of gaming alongside, and maybe it's because I'm talking like slightly less instead of like a consistent pace, maybe that just certain amount gives my throat like just enough to re-lubricate itself. That way my words can just like slip and slide directly out of my mouth. But whenever it's the just chatting, the words end up being like kind of caught in the throat and trying to figure out how to get its way out. It's quite a lot. Can never do this. This is why you like making videos more. I can't blame you. Although, like, for me, like, with videos, I talked about this earlier, is I don't think that I'm the best at interacting with chat. So I think that I could make, like, a decent video for, like, an extended just, like, talking to myself through it. But I think that I'm a lot less stressed whenever I have other stuff to work off of. And so, like, if I'm thinking about like the past of the channel, we can reminisce a little bit. It's been a little bit since I've been able to reminisce, and I wanted to reminisce a little bit whenever I was making this stream anyway. Is whenever I first started streaming, so like you go back, and I'm not even talking about the Signalis. I'm talking about the Resident Evil 2 stream. The Resident Evil 2 stream for me, the very first stream that I did, I was sitting here in silence, not complete silence because I knew that I had to have something, but the stature and like the way that I carried myself was so radically different to like how I do things now. Because I remember watching some of the clips because I believe back then, after I had finally like shared my channel with like Jury in them in the and Jury server, I was going through and I was like leaning over, and I'd be opening a door and I get to like where Mr. X was and be like, oh, Mr. X, I don't want to do anything with this. And then like I'd be talking like super quietly and be like, well, I think next I'm going to get the bolt cutters, and then whenever I get the bolt cutters, I'm going to go through here. And then I would remember getting up to like where I wanted to say a joke, and then I'd be like a little too worried to say the joke, so then I'd be like and then we'll go and then I'd end up kind of like twisting over my words that not actually end up delivering the joke. I had to figure out how to like say things. So then I remember like my worst moment like realizing, oh, I think I actually need to be a little bit more consistent with this. Felt that on a spiritual level. I'm glad. I had to enter the stream of consciousness arc, and so if you watch like stream 1 versus stream 2 on the channel, it actually goes from basically complete silence to non-stop talking, and then that ended up fueling like the direction that the channel went, probably from then until now. And it's weird because then I actually ended up having like a separate problem for me where the value of my stream, I almost started rating it based on how many words and how many jokes I could get out in the stream. So I had to learn that I didn't have to be talking literally every second during the stream. It was okay that I could have like stories kind of just cut out and end, and have moments of silence where I'm letting the gameplay itself and just letting like a cutscene play or whatever while I sit in the background and twiddle my thumbs or take a drink or whatever. I'm gonna take a drink, by the way. I'm glad that I have this set up. Excuse me. By the way. And no music, so if that burp got picked up, it's completely over for me. It was completely audible. I think I saw the green mix a little bit. It went up a little bit, so it should be like completely clear. Honestly, it's impressive that you managed to get this good at storytelling and interacting. Like growing on YouTube by just streaming is literally doing content creation on nightmare mode. Yeah, I wanted to do like the video. Thank you, by the way. I'm glad that like it sounds like some of the storytelling and stuff came through, because I've always thought of myself as being okay at like doing bits and stuff, but I've always considered storytelling a particular weakness of mine. I feel like I struggle on making stories that are interesting like front to back without getting things twisted in my mind. So the storytelling is a genuine compliment to me. I wanted to do more video stuff, but I just couldn't get myself to find the time or the patience to like consistently sit down and make videos. I was doing like the 30-week challenge with Jury and Blue for a little while, and I found that like beneficial to me at the time, but as things got more busy, like in my own personal life, I didn't find it like possible to maintain that momentum if I wanted to continue like having a life outside of streaming, which unfortunately for me, I do like to maintain like a social life outside in like the real world with people and stuff. So it just wasn't doable for me. I might make some videos here and there because I think like once things settle down in the next couple of weeks, I think that there's actually a decent chance that I'll be able to sit down and have the time to maybe revisit some of those VODs to put out on the channel. But I'll just kind of have to see if that's something that I have the patience to do. Right now, I'm kind of dipping my toes in so many hobbies at once and trying to make sure that I'm keeping up with people and making sure that like that I can develop connections and stuff. So the nightmare mode is kind of like inherent to it right now, unfortunately. Love making videos, love the process of getting an idea, polishing it, and getting the elements ready, editing and posting and reading the stats, but recording the actual video, which takes 10 minutes, is the hardest part for you. You cringe too hard? That's interesting. Okay, because like for me, the shortest part takes you the longest. I like we're kind of like the opposites then. I think that editing's fine. It's not something that I love. I can get into writing, but I think writing a script specifically would be a struggle for me, as opposed to like writing analysis or that kind of thing. Turning that analysis into a script is something that I think that I would struggle with a lot. I think turning my own stories into a script is something that I would like find impossible. So like you being able to do that well is super impressive. But for me, like the part that I like is like the performative part. I've always enjoyed more the reason why I like streaming so much is that I can sit down and kind of just sit here and riff off of stuff and to an extent like improvise like what I want to say and figure things out on the fly. But having to sit and prepare like script and editing and all these different elements that you're talking about. And now the stats, I love the stats too. It's a genuine problem for me. I love the stats. But for me, it's like the in the moment is the best part. In the moment, and then seeing the stats is the best part. So like the only reason that I really wanted to get like the editing done, and the reason why I wanted to get the editing done well for me in a specific style is because I wanted it to be like in a style that I would end up watching. And also I wanted to get it done that way I could just get to the stats and get to like the next I guess like performance kind of. I just like doing like the funny part. The not funny part is not fun to me, is basically the long and short of it. So recently you started comparing your first videos on this channel and your latest ones and can visibly see the difference in the stats. Kind of support that too, so it makes sense. Wonder how far you can take it and at what point will it pop off like crazy. That's fair. And I think like for you do have like a strong format, so I don't think that it'll be like too crazy to expect like that pop off moment. I've watched more of your streams than I have your videos, but I'll need to go and revisit the videos. I know like for a lot of your videos you have like that specific style to them. Like, where's the bar set? At what point are you good enough? That's the thing with like YouTube. I think like you can settle into a style, but like from the way that I think of like YouTube and content creation as a whole is that you can get content and you can kind of settle for stuff if your brain lets you do that. But I think that once you get like a certain mindset, it almost feels like impossible to break away from that, where you have those expectations and you feel like you need to reach those expectations, and then like as you get closer to those expectations end up getting reset. So like for me, like it was actually kind of bad for like my own like mental, I think, that I got like a 1.7 thousand video 1.7 thousand view video right off the bat whenever I was at like 30 or 40 subscribers, because I didn't have like the I didn't know how to recreate that, so I knew that like the next video would get way less views, so I kind of just did the same thing again instead of pushing to top that video or like pushing to use that momentum, because in my mind it was like a fluke, so I didn't want to like pursue that fluke too heavily, I guess. I just wanted to like accept the success that I got off of that video and then continue on to the next thing. Whenever I feel like maybe in hindsight I could have made something out of it. I'm very happy with it right now, to be honest, but you do acknowledge that there is room for improvement. The YouTube game is soul-crushing, to describe it in the most charitable way possible. Yeah, I think sometimes it can feel pretty bad, but I think like a vast majority of the time, at least for me, like in the moment, it's something that I enjoy a lot, which is like why I kept going with it even whenever I was like taking a step back, and I continue to take like a pseudo step back on like my own content creation journey, is kind of easing into maybe treating it more like a hobby instead of something that I want to fight for growth on. It's good that you're happy with the progress that you do have, because I think that a lot of your stuff has been like impressive to see, and you were a cool person to meet through it as well. That's the thing too. Like whenever I'm thinking back on like why I stuck around with like content creation, is I've ended up making more connections than I ever thought that I would have. I'm a relatively, and some, this is gonna sound, because like I'm going to put myself on like a slider. I consider myself to be a relatively offline person. Most of my friends are offline friends that I see them in real life, and then whenever I go home, I might text them here and there. But for the most part, I just talk to them whenever like we can meet up. This will sound stupid, but one of the biggest things that motivate you is seeing people that started with before and after you quit. And I'm like, I'm not a quitter. I'm gonna see things through. That's fair. I can't blame you, because like comparison is one of the things that ended up driving me a lot as well. Because like I always wanted to like okay, so whenever I started streaming, I was kind of like born, my stream was born directly like out of Jury's community, basically. Like I started streaming after I had joined Jury's server, and I got help with starting like through the CC discussion channel like in that server. So whenever I was like figuring out like how to get started, I started with like very low expectations. I was basically of the mind of like I'm going to be a 0 view streamer for a very long time. And then like 3 streams in, I was getting like random people and stuff tuning in to the stream, which was a surprise to me. But now I've had like people flow in and out of the stream and that kind of thing. But whenever Blue joins the server, I saw like his most popular streams, and he was like more feasibly reachable to me than Jury's at the time, like 600 to 700 subscribers. So I was like, I'm going to get a stream as popular as one of Blue's, was one of my driving. So that comparison has always been like a driving factor, which comparison isn't always like the healthiest thing, but I think like a healthy like rivalry is healthy. Super chill. I'm enjoying the stream a lot so far, but as you've said, I'm doing this on nightmare mode. Yeah, I mean, kind of. It's funny because like I saw that growth with Resident Evil. That was the first Resident Evil video that ended up getting like 1.7 thousand subscribers or whatever, or not subscribers, views. If it got subscribers, we'd be having a very different talk right now. I would have such a huge ego, and I'd be putting you down heavily, and I'd say, maybe you'll understand the content creation game soon. Me personally, I figured it out. It came to me naturally. Honestly, there's not really anything that you can do about it. I kind of just have the knack for it. Sorry, buddy. But that's not where we are. I got like 6 subscribers off of it. And it was like one of the quickest growth segments for my channel. And I remember being so excited. And I was like, but I don't know if that's going to really happen again. So then I made the Dredge video, and I was like, it will be like a slow grow. And then I made the next Resident Evil video, and I was like, I would like this one to do better than the Dredge video, but I don't think it'll hit Resident Evil heights. It was kind of like maybe a too humble for my own good. Joe Bob lore, kind of. I'm kind of just talking through like the mindset of the beginning. Funny you say that, because you had people do that to you before on Twitter. Oh, I can't even imagine. How do you even get into a spat like that on Twitter with like larger, I assume larger creators, right? Unless it's just like a random dude with like, I don't even know how many subscribers you have, Toto, to be honest. A random dude with like 100 more subscribers than you that wants to pretend like they're grand. I can't imagine it being somebody that's like super well off. Just subbed because anyone who likes Sunny Boy is a guy you'd like to be friends with. I was right when I started watching your vids. Oh, wait. Did you find me? Royal. How did you find me? You found me through jury, right? Or did you like see the video? I'm honestly not sure now because the wording on that is kind of confusing. Also, you left jury's server and like the day after you left, the waifu bot was reinstated. And I went to at you and you just weren't there anymore. So it was like the most unfortunate timing that I think I've ever seen in my life. I went to go, oh, Royal's coming home, but then it was like it was too late. But yeah, thank you for your support as well. I've always appreciated seeing you appear in chat and whatnot. I always assume that you're more of a lurker. But yeah, the Sunny Boy support, I think that like whenever I set up like the Sunny Boy stuff, I knew that like for other people that knew, it would be like a proud point to stand by, which I'm glad for. It wasn't even meant as an insult, but it was a creator that wanted to commission an animated background, and after the commission I asked them if they had any advice for a small creator, and they said they have no idea, they just got lucky and they were naturally entertaining and people liked their personality. It was a 330k follower Twitch streamer at the time. That is impressive. That's I can't blame them, I guess. Because I think that comes from like a not understanding of like what makes your stuff good, and like a need to be like overly humble. It's something like you have to be careful, okay? Like as a person that is usually like on the I try to be on the humble side because I like to try to stay aware. I've realized that if you go too hard on the humbleness, you kind of just sound like awful, because then you're like, well, for me, I didn't even have to think about it and you're having to think about it, so which one of us is superior here? I kind of learned that, and this is gonna sound so stupid on like how I ended up learning it. I didn't learn the concept until like I was getting really good at Guilty Gear, because whenever I got really good at Guilty Gear, I would go up to people and they'd be like, oh, are you good? I'm like, I'm okay. And then like you end up being a monster compared to them and you're like, what the, you were just, I thought we were like on the same field, but you've been grinding the game and you have like 300 some hours in it, and it's like, oh, okay, yeah, that just feels bad. So then you kind of have to be honest. Then I think it feels better to be honest about your own skill level as well. So, you know, just be honest instead of, well, be humble, but be honest about your humility. Joe Bob being humble, you make it sound like you make it sound like I'm not humble. I'm the most humble guy I know. It becomes sarcastic. Yeah, it just, you know that it's not meant to be that way, but they haven't like thought through what they're saying. It sounds a little specific. Yeah, if you're curious, Deceptions is the guy where I was like, yeah, I'm okay, and then I bodied him for like 400 hours straight until he got decent at the game. We had a little bit of a training boot camp, and you know, I still consistently win, but he tries his best. And that's all that we can request out of anybody, right? Now you stinky all over. It's just not true. We both know it's not. Joe Bob, I'm humble. Also, Joe Bob 2 seconds ago. I'm just naturally funny and entertaining, and yeah, what can I say? I'm just that good at like everything that I take a swing at. I step outside and like people are drawn to me like moths to a flame, and they all like start talking to me and they're like, oh, don't you want to try this or that? And I say, yes, I would love to try this or that. And then I say like a joke and I'm like, why did the chicken cross the road to get to the other side? And like, oh, Oh, that's the funniest thing that I've ever heard in my entire life. You're groundbreaking. You're groundbreaking. Damn, teach me your ways, senpai. Well, unfortunately, Toto, for me, I didn't really have to think about it. Kind of just came naturally, and now it permeates through like my stream and whatnot. It's how I maintain a 20 view channel, 20, 30 view channel. I can't help it. I can't help it. It's what defines me as a person. It's my own characteristic. That's how I can afford to rent out a Chuck E. Cheese room that we are in now. I don't think just anybody could afford one of these. Do you see all the special chairs lining the back wall? That's for all the people that have too much back pain to sit against the stools. That's right, I have money for the accessibility options. I'm going further than just the bare minimum. I'm offering you dreams that you haven't even dreamt before. Hold on, I took out my earbuds a long time ago, but they're kind of just sitting awkwardly in front of me, and now I want to put them up because they're bothering me. I've realized I'm starting to become a more organized person, and I think that was because like and this is gonna sound stupid too, but like I was talking to people more organized, and their organization made me a little bit jealous. And I wanted to steal some of that. So I'm not there yet, but I'm trying to develop that organization, because like whenever I have like a super busy moment, I kind of just end up with like papers and like all this stuff flailed across my desk and stuff, and it never looks good. So I'm trying to figure out the best way for me to like have it all consolidated and smashed down and stuff. But I guess that kind of came with some of the streaming too. I had to learn some time management for this. You know how weird it is for me to like actually be on like a consistent schedule? I used to be like the kind of person fashionably late for most everything, but I've ended up, and like this is a mindset thing too. Okay, Cyan. This is a mindset thing too, but I feel bad whenever I waste people's time. So having like things, excuse me, having things set to like specific areas, and then I can kind of like show up at a certain time and wrap things up at a certain time. It makes me feel more proud of like my own progress too. Where like before I'd be like, oh well, I'll be 20 minutes late, don't worry about me. And so I think that might be part of the reason why like my expectation for whenever somebody says that they're going to be late, I'm expecting like a minimum 10-minute late kind of situation. 3 minutes late just feels like you're kind of like on time, but like a couple of minutes away. 3 minutes late is just on time to me. Like if I tell you like we're gonna be doing something at 6:30 and you're there at 6:33, it's not even gonna get a mention for me. I'm not sending you a message until 6:40. Like at the minimum, probably. Unless I were worried. If I were worried that like we're actually just like I'm about to get completely ignored, or like you've slept in or something, I'm not sending the message until it. Well, to be fair, if you're trying to get something set up and they've slept in until 6:30, then there's probably a problem and you need to let them get their own stuff sorted out as well. I think that's maybe a fair thing, but you know, now like the stream has developed to where, and I can't believe it, I've basically, we're almost there. I've almost filled 2 hours just talking, and I haven't even gotten through the reminiscing that I wanted to go through yet. I deviated a little bit ago because okay, can I be real with you? I'm a sentimental guy. So like so my life situation has changed pretty drastically over the past few weeks. one of the things that changed in that was that I quit my current job so that I can do what I'm about to start doing in 2 days. And so with that, I've worked at this job for like 3 to 4 years now. I love my boss. My coworkers have all been great. And so like the other day, Friday, was my last day there. And so my boss threw me like a farewell pizza party. He was like, we don't do this for all the workers, but you kept coming back. And I was like, I did keep coming back. It was a good job. And so before I left, I went and I was taking pictures of like the of where I work, just for like little keepsakes for myself, so that whenever I'm like 34 and it's been like over a decade, I can be like, see, look, this is where I worked. And I would go here and do this, and it was a chill work. I would go and sit down at my computer and play mahjong and watch Twitch streams for most of the day. And that was kind of like the story. So like I have to have those on standby. So like in whenever I have kids or whatever, I can show them the same pictures. I went all the way through. I took selfies in the warehouse. Isn't that weird? I think that's kind of weird. But I needed it for like like my little sentimental keepsakes. I like to have like a range of like things being tracked. Happy birthday! Thank you, Umaru. Thank you, Umaru. You're my hitman king. You're the person that guided me the most through the hitman missions, as you logged 300 hours into it before I got 10. But thank you. But with the channel, I ended up like and I was talking about this briefly, I ended up meeting like so many more people than I ever could have imagined. Because like before streaming, basically everything for me was like offline. So I was like brand new to like online spaces, not completely, because like as a kid I did like go online and I was part of like some forums and stuff, and I got kicked from like a Lord of the Rings mobile game city builder clan for being 12 years old on my Kindle. I remember all that, and I played like Xbox Live and stuff, but only with my in real life friends. But like over the past few years, it's been like my main friend group. I would talk to them on like Discord, and then whoever like I had met out in real life, and then I would go and hang out with them in real life. And that was kind of like the connection cycle. So whenever I end up finding like the jury stream, and I joined the jury server, and I was kind of like reaching out because I knew that I wanted to start streaming, but I knew that I needed a little bit of help getting there. I was kind of like reaching out and being like, hey, I want to start doing this. How? And it was mainly for like the thumbnail, and I love showing off like the first thumbnail attempts. I might actually, hold on, I have those saved. Let me see if I have them saved somewhere easy, because if so, I can show like the development of where things started and where things went. Because I still, okay, do we want to go? Okay, let's dig a little deep. Actually, there was a stream before the Signalis stream. There was, I've lied to all of you. There was a stream before the Signalis stream. I can't remember when. I think it's still on my channel somewhere. Let me see if I have a date for that stream. I don't think it was too far below the Signalis stream. Okay, it was. So, my very first stream attempt, and I had my Twitter and everything linked in these. Let me save the screenshot because this is kind of funny. And I do have a couple of these unlisted because I dropped the first Signalis stream. I had a little bit of a stream review whenever I finished Signalis. I did a stream review. Hold on. Sorry, I'm getting this saved. And whenever I clicked the save button, it was like the oldest thing that I had ever seen in my life. Here we are. I'll just save it to my thumbnails folder because that's where I'm going to be. And then I will add a source. Where's the image at? Image. Add existing. Probably don't start it visible. That way I can just like keep things safe for the just in case. We stay safe out here. We stay completely safe. I don't need to. I play a dangerous game, all right? Because whenever I'm streaming, okay, here's this. And can I upload multiple? It looks like I can only go one at a time. So here are my first like streams. In October 25th, 2022, I attempted to stream Oblivion. And this one I have hidden away. Even though it was technically my first streaming attempt, because I was too like worried to do like the stream by myself. So I remember whenever I did the Oblivion stream, I was sitting in a Discord call with a bunch of friends, and how I had it set up was you could hear in the stream, you could hear my mic, but you couldn't hear theirs. And it was basically so I could have the voices in the background and they could be commenting on like what was happening. That way I wouldn't feel like a complete weirdo while I was streaming. And let me pull up the thumbnail for that one, because the thumbnail quite a bit more boring. You think you remember this? I think you should. I went for the basic, just like I grabbed the Steam logo, I grabbed the Steam backdrop, and then I threw a number on the thumbnail because numbers just made the most sense. If you're gonna have somebody watching your series, obviously you want a number there, that way they don't join in at the wrong time. Obviously quickly learned that I'm thinking incorrectly. You want to be as mean-spirited as possible. That way they will just join you in the middle of the series and not feel as bad about it. You're trying to manipulate them. You want to make them feel like they're in the right spot at the right time, even though you've streamed for like 25 hours before it. It was a difficult lesson for me. And then I go for the Signalis stream. Now this one, I was on to something. It was 1 year later, and this one I had like quite a. This is gonna sound psychotic. If you want to hear it, if you want to see the Signalis stream, go to the final part of the current, like the most recent Signalis, because this was streamed back in 2023, July of 2023. So if you want to see this, go to the most recent Signalis stream, and then I have them unlisted, available to watch. And so this was the first time that I had set up the stream to where I would be solo by myself doing my own thing. I was like my own big boy taking care of my own needs for the first time in my life. And I remember being so nervous for this one. I was talking about earlier how during the first Resident Evil stream, I was like so quiet, afraid to make like any kind of comment about anything. We'll turn down this hallway. Watching like the first Signalis stream, it goes even further than that, where like I'm going through and like it is just like moment by moment commentary, and you can kind of tell that I don't know what I'm doing. I can't remember how Jury described it, because I did show Jury the early attempts like way before, I think. And I know like the way that I was talking, I talk very differently from then as to how I talk now. And so like a lot of that just comes down to general projection for me. Like I project my voice a lot stronger than I did in 2022, which, you know, I would hope, or in 2023, I would hope that that would happen over time as I would get more confident with the streaming. But like my general disposition, I didn't even think that I wanted to be a funny guy yet. I wasn't even really trying to make jokes. I was going, well, we'll go into this room. What was the voice that I did? We'll go into this room. I can't do the voice right now. We'll go that way. I can't do the voice because my throat's too dry. But basically I sounded like disgusting and unconfident, and it was like, we'll keep on going. We'll go this way and grab the gun here and pick it up and shoot, because it was just kind of like the moment to moment commentary. And then the most significant, I'm gonna need open the stream and you got decapitated. Why would you do that to me? I thought we've known each other for a long time, Holland. Overall, you've been a pretty good friend to me. But then you have the gall to cut my head off? It's despicable. Anyway, I'm actually gonna make this not viewable as I change it, because I kind of want to pull them up at the same time. Let me pull that up. There we go. There we go. And then thankfully, like, I should be able to get them both up. Go here. Add another image source. Do not make visible. Browse. Thankfully, I don't delete anything until absolutely necessary. So all of these things I've still just got sitting on my hard drive for any time. I reuse some of the PSDs like fairly often. So I think that should be good. So, data hoarding Pog, it is pretty sick. That way I'd never have to worry about not having anything. Here is the format. Whenever I was first trying to develop a thumbnail, I knew, and hold on, it gets better. Hold on, actually, I still have the format idea saved. This was whenever I first started interacting with the, with like the Jury Discord. I was like, oh, I want to start streaming. Thumbnails are important. How do I make a thumbnail? Do not make visible. That way I can get it adjusted and stuff. Hold on. This one's important. Where do I keep this saved? Do I not have it on standby? Hold on. Let me open my Discord. I do have it saved somewhere, so I can pull it up and have it ready to go. Here it is. Open in browser, and then I can just hit a save image as, and then let's go to the thumbnails folder and into view. Okay, perfect. Now I can pull this up and thumbnails, thumbnail idea. This is my first attempt at a thumbnail idea. I remember talking to Jury about it at the time, and because she was trying to figure out like what I even wanted it to look like. And so I remember that day going like, okay, I'll develop a format and then come with like a thing made out of the format. And so meaningful text is so real. It is. That's kind of become a key part of things. It was disencouraged at first, but then it actually became like a big part of it. But that at the top left, I was like, okay, my artistic mind had come up with, because you know, I didn't even have a model then, so it was like, okay, if I want to have something looking good, I'll need to have the character in view somewhere, and then I can throw the background in there. I called it the foreground ambient. I don't know what I meant by that, but I just meant a background that was blurred that could set, not even blurred. I think blurring was Jury's idea at the time. But I wanted a background that would set the tone, and then I would have the logo of the game and then the text. Ambient background goes hard. I think you mean foreground ambient. But then like the first attempt that I went to was this beauty in the bottom left, where I kinda did it, and it's like so awkwardly small, and nothing is where it really should be for a clickable thumbnail at all. And then it kind of developed into I remember Jury putting hers in, and it looked more like this, and she had made it on like Canva or something. And so I remember going through and being like, is it okay if I copy that? As if it would, because in my mind I was like, I don't want to plagiarize. I still kind of have like the no theft allowed in my mind, which I think is a good standard to have, but I didn't know what was allowed and what wasn't. I didn't know how to interact with people online. I still kind of don't know how to interact with people online sometimes. I'm just saying stuff. Sometimes I want to like talk to people, I'm just like saying stuff. But this was a significant improvement to the formula. And I'm going to shrink this a little bit because we can go through one more. Because it really set the scene for what the modern Joe Bob thumbnail looks like. We will not make source visible. We will browse. We will grab. And then this one was actually like pretty important to me, because it's also the first time that I had gotten like a random viewer in the stream. And I hold on to these. I remember like the name of everybody, and so like whenever somebody stops in that hasn't in a while, it's a genuine like celebratory moment for me. But here it is. It's my magnum opus as far as I'm concerned. I remember going into the Discord and having like how is this thumbnail? And like Ada was the most recent character in the game, so I threw Ada up on the screen, and I was told to include Zam in it. And that's how meaningful text was reintroduced into the Joe Bob thumbnail cycle. Zam, true. And it's like the only time that I've had one look as like as horrible as that, because like I have the emoji and everything. Honestly, like if there were higher quality rips, I would have included like the once I got into the dredge kind of focus, where like the smiling trophy became a mainstay for me. I would have included some of these like at some point in there, but unfortunately like that never became possible. But this is like the story of the channel, like in thumbnail form, up until Vino put together my like character for me. And that's like a whole nother thing. To me, it always made a 5-part story. I guess so. I think I did the reveal on a Balatro stream of all things, because like I actually do have that as well. Like, oh look, new deck, new look. Here's the big model reveal, because I remember doing like the stock image and stuff there too. But it's crazy because like in my mind at the time, I didn't know, like I knew that if I wanted to start streaming, and one of my biggest pieces of like advice that I could give to somebody that is interested in streaming, content creation, improvement, like art, anything, is to find a community that you fit in with, that will like take you in, and help you like improve. Because to me, and this is where things are going to get sappy for me, so I apologize if I can't hold myself together, but like being able to get started in a way beyond just like the general Signalis stuff is like I had stuff to look forward to, where I was looking forward to sharing the ideas that I had, with like at first it was just like with Jury and whoever would answer in the CC discussion. I had ideas that I would look forward to share with like Jury, and the week by week I would provide like week by week updates on like my own stats and growth and that kind of thing. And for me, I think that is like the reason why I was able to continue with the streaming for so long, despite being like as busy as I was at the time, because there were times where I was having to kind of make a choice between either focusing on this or focusing on something else in my life. And even though the streaming, and I don't want to make it sound like the streaming is like or that the other option would be the choice that makes more sense, because that's not necessarily always true. The streaming was like an important outlet for me, for like my performative side of things that I don't think that I would have been able to delve into if I didn't have like the support that was there. I think too frequently, like whenever you look into artist kind of circles, or if you talk to people that are trying to get started on streaming, or like in any kind of hobby, way too frequently it's just this big solo act whenever it doesn't have to be. Especially whenever you're thinking about like, why do you want to stream? Why do you want to get into content creation? For me, like part of that was the performative outlet, and I could do it to a wall for a long time. But ultimately, like no matter what, a constant is going to be to have your voice be heard by people that appreciate like your own like humor and words and like that kind of thing. So like if you're trying to figure something out, do it with people. I'm kind of cutting in and out a lot in the middle of my sentences now, because like this is where the sentimentality comes through for me. I've always, I've had like very good friends throughout my life. I've been very lucky to have that. I didn't expect to be able to make those same kinds of connections through streaming as well. For me, it was just like I want to try to do this because I think it'll be funny. I think it'll be fun. I think I can be funny. So to be able to step out and like find a circle that I am a part of was incredibly meaningful to me, if that makes sense. Especially since there's like as many voices and stuff that like I never would have been able to like hear from, especially like all these different viewpoints and stuff from people like all over the world, from somebody that is like small town, middle of nowhere, Texas. That kind of like changes your view pretty significantly on like a lot of things. All of a sudden you have like these voices, these interesting voices from like all over that are willing to help you out and that like to talk to you about some of this stuff. So it was an exciting moment for me, and I think that I have been able to grow a lot because of it. So whenever I think of like continuing or stopping, you know, because like for a little while I was like kind of set on this or some stream soon. Sorry, I'm kind of falling apart. Being like the last stream, but I don't think that I want it to be the last stream, so I think I'll probably keep on going. But thank you to like everybody over time that has supported, because it's meant a lot to me. It's meant like a lot to me. So yeah, I mean, I guess specifically, thank you, Jury, for helping me like get started. Thank you, like Hall and Cyan, for pushing me. Thank you, Blue. I've talked to you a lot about some of the random stressors and stuff. So, and like, thank you to like Toto, Rarina, everybody that I've talked to like throughout. In real life friends, like so many. It's meant a lot. And for now, I do continue on like I do plan on continuing, but eventually like it'll probably like come to some kind of slowdown. I'll just have to see. But yeah, I mean, now I don't know what to say because now it's kind of awkward. There's just like hearts and stuff in the chat, but it's been like a good, it's been a really good year for me. It's been a stressful year, but it's been a really good year for me. And I hope that I can keep that momentum over time. And like I know like the past like week or so I've been reaching out to people because some of the thoughts and stuff of it has been like stressing me out. So thank you to those that did make the time to talk to me. You know who you are. Because like I needed the people to talk to, but yeah. I could continue to talk about like whatever. I could hop on a game. I'm not sure what would be the better option right now. I'm kind of like crying. I'm sure it's very audible, but I'm kind of like crying. But yeah, that's kind of what I have to say. I might wrap things up here. I'll still be here. I'm gonna take a week off as I figure out my own like current situation and schedule and all of it. But I will probably most likely continue in some form or fashion, and then hopefully it'll be like a long form continuation. I'm unsure. If I do decide to stop, we'll get like another stream where I'm sitting here crying and screaming and stuff. So yeah, thank you everybody that stopped by. I'm sorry that I started falling apart and crying and stuff at the end, but it's been a more monumental part of my life that I had expected whenever I started. Oh, and I forgot to say thank you, Vito, as well. I think Vito and Jury kind of like deserve a huge thanks as well for even getting me like Jury the profile picture, Vito the model and stuff. But Yeah, I will talk to you all in a week. Thank you for stopping by, everybody. Thank you, Noir, for saying happy birthday again. I'm gonna take a week off. I'll probably be back next Wednesday. Unless I decide to change schedules because of my own personal schedule. Who knew that like I would be able to fill like 2 hours, 20 minutes of just my own voice? I must be like an egomaniac. But you know, I think maybe that's what makes the streaming work so well. Thank you everybody that stopped by. I'm gonna read names. Thank you Holland, thank you Noir, thank you Jury, thank you Locke, thank you Toto, thank you Cyan, thank you Deceptions, thank you Royal, thank you Umaru, and thank you Poor Genius. And I can't remember if I said thank you Noir, but if I didn't, thank you Noir as well. I will see you all probably in a week. For those of you who like speak to me, you know where to reach me as well. So otherwise, I will talk to you all another time. Goodbye.